Welcome to This Explainer. I'm really glad you're joining me today because we're going to dive into something so profoundly impactful, yet we literally overlook it almost every single day. Look, most people consistently underestimate how much power they actually hold. And to be clear, I'm not talking about grand headline-making power or sweeping world changes. No, I'm talking about a simple look, a single word, a tiny, seemingly insignificant action. Today, we're going to unpack the actual practical mechanics behind how the absolute smallest actions can completely rewrite the trajectory of someone's entire day.
So let's start right here. Have you ever had one of those days where absolutely nothing felt right? I want you to really think back to a time when you were just completely overwhelmed. Maybe you were running on empty, totally stressed out at work, or just feeling entirely off balance. You know that feeling, right? You're stuck deep in that bad momentum. But then, something incredibly small happens. Maybe a total stranger gives you a genuine smile on your morning commute, or someone holds the elevator door for you when you're rushing. Maybe an old friend sends a quick, totally unprompted message, or a coworker gives you a compliment out of nowhere. Think about how that specific moment actually felt in your chest.
Now, let's be real for a second. That tiny act didn't magically fix all your life's problems, did it? Your stress didn't just instantly vanish into thin air. But it shifted something. It broke this cycle. Recognizing this universal truth is huge because it proves that a random act of kindness doesn't need massive planning, and it definitely doesn't need public recognition to be deeply effective. It just needs to be real. Okay, moving into section 1, the power of small actions. Let's break down exactly why this works so well. What's truly fascinating here is the sheer undeniable efficiency of kindness. It's like a triple threat. It provides an immediate, tangible benefit to literally everyone in its radius. Think about it. The person receiving the kindness, they feel seen and valued. The person giving it, they instantly feel more grounded and deeply connected to the world around them. And here's the beautiful part. Anyone just standing by, simply witnessing this brief exchange, gets a powerful, real-time reminder that good actually still exists in the world. It's a total win-win-win scenario. Up next is section 2, the invisible barrier to kindness.
If kindness is so great for everyone involved, why don't we see it everywhere all the time? Well, the reality isn't that people don't care. That's a huge misconception. It's simply that we are all so incredibly distracted. We're all caught up in our own stress bubbles, hyper-focused on our own daily responsibilities, and man, we are just moving way too fast. Real kindness actually requires awareness. It asks you to hit the brakes just enough to actually see someone else, to notice that the cashier scanning your groceries looks totally exhausted, or to recognize that your normally chatty coworker seems just a little bit quieter than usual today. The opportunities for kindness are quite literally everywhere, but they are completely invisible to a rushed, distracted mind.
Let's head into section 3, nice versus intentional kindness. We really need to draw a line in the sand here, because being nice and being kind aren't exactly the same thing. Being nice is often just surface level. It's passive. Frankly, it's just what's expected in polite society. Intentional kindness, however, goes so much deeper. It is an active, deliberate choice to act in a way that adds actual, tangible value to someone's experience. It's stepping up instead of just standing by. And this brings us right to the core definition for our explainer today. Intentional kindness is choosing to act in a way that adds value to someone else's experience, even if there is absolutely nothing in it for you. Read that again. Nothing in it for you. Because so much of the world operates purely on a transactional basis. The whole what can I gain from this mindset. Acting entirely without an agenda is wonderfully, shockingly unexpected. And guess what? Unexpected kindness is exactly what sticks with people. It's highly memorable.
Moving on to section 4, the unseen ripple effect.
Here is the secret ingredient that most people completely miss. Kindness creates momentum. It really does. When you do something small, like paying for the coffee of the person in line behind you, or you take 30 seconds to send a really thoughtful text message, you are sparking a chain reaction. People who experience kindness are far more likely to pass it right along to the next person, long after you've walked away. You aren't responsible for managing what happens after your action. You are just responsible for being the spark.
Let's look at section 5, overcoming hesitation and reality.
Let's get real for a second. Have you ever totally talked yourself out of doing something nice? Honestly, we all do it. We hit these walls of internal resistance right before we act. We think, well, what if they think it's weird? Or what if they just don't respond the right way? Or what if my gesture is totally misunderstood? It is entirely natural to feel a little awkward or to fear that misunderstanding.
But here is the absolutely crucial point you have to remember. Most people out there are receiving so little genuine kindness in their day-to-day lives that they aren't going to question your motives. When genuine kindness suddenly shows up, your effort isn't going to be weird. It's simply going to stand out as a massive, wonderful relief. So how do we get past that hesitation? Simplify it. You've got to stop overthinking it. Your action doesn't need to be exceptionally clever, and it certainly doesn't need to be some highly choreographed event. It just needs to be genuine. A simple, hey, I really appreciate you, or consciously choosing patience over irritation. That is more than enough. And like any habit, the more you practice it, the more entirely natural it becomes. Moving right along to section 6, real kindness includes self-respect. Now, this is a major caveat. You can be kind and still have boundaries. This is so incredibly important. Real kindness does absolutely not mean allowing people to walk all over you or take advantage of you. You can be an incredibly generous, compassionate person and still firmly say the word no. In fact, self-respect is a foundational component of genuine kindness. Think about it. If you burn yourself out trying to be absolutely everything for absolutely everyone, you're going to end up with nothing left to give from a sustainable place. You absolutely have to protect your own energy.
All right, here we are at section 7, the Daily Kindness Challenge.
Armed with everything we've talked about, I've got a practical challenge for you today. Let's move from theory to action. I like to call it the secret challenge. Here is how it works. Step 1. Do one kind thing today for someone. Step 2, and this is the hardest part for most people, do it without telling a single soul. I mean it. No posting it on your social media, no announcing it to your partner when you get home, no standing around waiting for a grand thank you in response. Step 3, just quietly notice the internal shift within yourself. By executing this challenge entirely in secret, you completely strip away the ego and that very human desire for external validation. You force yourself to focus purely on the raw act of giving. And when you act with that kind of quiet, under-the-radar kindness, you've reinforced something incredibly powerful internally. You start telling your brain, I am someone who contributes. Feeling that quiet internal shift is exactly what separates a chaotic, highly reactive life where you're constantly looking around asking, what can I get from this exact moment? From a deeply grounded, intentional life where you step into a room and ask, what can I give here? So let's wrap this up with your next move. Before you close out of this explainer and continue with your day, I want you to do this. First, think of one person right now. Literally picture their face. It could be someone super close to you or, honestly, someone you barely even know. Second, ask yourself, what is one incredibly small thing I can do today to make their day just a little bit better? And third, just act. Don't wait around. Don't overthink it until you talk yourself out of it. You do not need more free time, and you definitely don't need perfect conditions to execute this. You just need the willingness to open your eyes and notice the opportunities that are already surrounding you right now. The smallest action delivered at the exact right moment can mean infinitely more than you will ever know. It's not always loud, it's rarely highly visible, but I promise you it is always deeply meaningful. Ultimately, if you keep deliberately making these small intentional choices, if you keep showing up in the world this way, you'll not only change other people's days, you will fundamentally change who you become tomorrow. So, take a look around you today. Whose day are you going to change?